Alright, g'day guys and welcome back tonight to another Obsidian video. Tonight we have a contentious topic to discuss, and that is custom calendars. A long desired piece of functionality that people wanted in the Realmworks community for a long time that unfortunately never became available, is currently available in Obsidian already. It's not available out of the box, it is a plugin. It's a fantastic plugin, and that is called Fantasy Calendar. It's been developed by Jeremy Valentine, whose name you may be familiar with already. He's the guy that's creating a lot of the RPG or the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons plugins for Obsidian. So anything from, dice rollers to pinnable maps and fantasy calendars apparently. So thank you, Jeremy. Absolutely hats off to you, mate. This stuff is great. Let's jump over to Obsidian and have a look. Alright, so in front of me you can see my Demo Vault 2. You can see by default over here, there's no options for a calendar. So we do need to turn that on. So the first thing we're going to do is come down here to the settings cog and click that. That's going to open up the settings, and we go to Community Plugins. Then we jump over here to the Browse button. You do need to make sure that Safe Mode is off for this to work, but click Browse and just start by typing Fantasy. Fantasy Calendar should come right up. You can see it's by Jeremy Valentine here. You can see it's been downloaded nearly 2,500 times. So let's click on that and have a bit of a look. We can see here there's a README file that tells us all about the plugins. It shows us what it looks like. It goes through all the functionality, tells us how it works, and then it goes into more detailed descriptions about some of the more advanced things that you can do. There's support for multiple calendars down here, for example. Not something that I've played with yet, but let's go ahead and install this plugin. So we click the install button. You can see it's doing its thing, and then once it's finished, the buttons update and you can click enable. So let's do that. Let's close out of the window, go back to Obsidian and have a look and see what's changed. So we can see here there's a new tab for Fantasy Calendar. It's defaulted to that, and it says there's no calendar created. Click here to create a calendar to see it here. Then also down here there's a large option. So this provides an entire view of the calendar, but again there's no calendars. So first thing we need to do is go back to our settings, come down here to Fantasy Calendar in our installed plugins settings list, and have a look through the settings for this plugin. So we need a default calendar. You can see here that there isn't one. We haven't got one installed, so we need to do that, or we need to create one. And for those of you who like to get your hands dirty, there is an option here to add new calendar. Alright, and you can see down here that there is the option to come through and create your own calendar. Now I'm not going to do that. I'm not that guy. I don't use calendars a whole heap in my games, and I certainly haven't used a custom calendar. What I'm more likely to do is play a pre-existing campaign world, and for me that's the Forgotten Realms. So I'm always looking for the calendar of Harpos. So that's something that I wanted to seek out for this, and I would have made it if I had to. But I don't have to, because as you can see here there's a fantastic option to import calendar. Alright, so we need to choose files, and we can see here import calendar from fantasycalendar.com. So I'm going to go ahead and click that option. Alright, you can see this website here should pop up. Now I've already got an account here, but you may need to register and log in, and then the first time you come into here there's not going to be a calendar listed, obviously. You'll need to click create new. So let's do that and have a look at what it looks like. Alright, you can give the calendar a name. Alright, then it starts to flow through the process of how to set that up. Or you can choose a preset. So that's the option that I'm going to use. We're going to come in here and basically have a look at the options, and you can see some really common options. Instantly my eyes come down here. This is the Forgotten Realms universe that I'm interested in. There's Pathfinder, there's Barovia, there's Critical Role, there's Warhammer. There's some really common options. There's Greyhawk that people are going to be looking for. So come in here and select the one that you're after. I'm after the Calendar of Harpos. So I can click that, and you can see it automatically defaults here to all of the options that you're after. Out of the box you can see that it's got the moon cycles, so that can provide some interesting elements. You can see the calendars start to run through here. You can see that there's already events that have been added to some of the days. Alright, so it's a really nice setup. There's lots of options in here as well. I did like the idea of this one, which is enabling of weather. If we click save, I don't know if that turns on straight away. There you go, so it turns the weather on. I have reached out to Jeremy about this just to ask him if he's planning on supporting it, and the really fantastic news is yes. So it's something he's looking to get to at some point in the future. So I think that'll be a really cool addition, because I do like the idea of being able to come in here and say, well, today is sunny, but you know, this day is cloudy, and without having to put any thought into that. I like that it's randomized. I think that's pretty cool. And then obviously you got your moon cycles there as well. Now the other thing I thought was pretty cool down here is event categories, and this is kind of important because once you go to Obsidian, you're going to be creating calendar entries, but you're going to be associating them with a category, and you can put a color on a category, and this is a visual cue that lets you look at your calendar and say, hey, all of the blue are natural events and all of the green are festivals, so I know what they are. So you can add them in Obsidian, or you can add them here, up to you. And again, here is the events. If you want a nice easy way to add your events, you can do that through here. But ultimately what you're looking to do is set your calendar up and get to the point where you're happy with it. And then what you do is you come over to this screen here, you click the dots and you go to export. Alright, when you do that, that's going to create a JSON file. Alright, you want to click this save to file option, and you can see that downloads it down there for you. Alright, so now we're going to go back to Obsidian. We're going to click choose files, and we're going to find our calendar file. Alright, you can see that's now added the calendar of Harpos for me, so I can see I've got an edit button, and you can see there's quite a few options here inside of here that kind of match what we just saw over on the website, to be honest. But these are the ones I was talking about before, where you've got the event categories, and see the colors that are now associated with it. So festivals, I want to change this to blue. I want war to be red, and I'm going to make my political events to be murky, horrible color. Got different options there. You got your events that you can obviously come in and see. Nice place to order all of the events that you've got entered. And then you've got your configuration here for weekdays, months, years, and leap days. You can set your current date here. We've got a few options to display day number. There's also an option here to auto increment the day in accordance with real days. I mean, that might be something someone chooses to use. I probably wouldn't use it myself, but it could be an interesting option. Alright, and then we click save. So now we have a calendar. We have our options all entered. We have a default calendar open. Doesn't look like we even need that, but we're going to shut this down. And what we can see here is we now have a calendar inside the system. We can see what the day is, and we can right click and choose set as today if we want to change the current day. But we can also click on a day and make an event. So this can be the party. We're going to give that a festival and click save. So now we can see that we've got a nice festival, and you've also got a blue icon over here in the smaller version. Maybe the party was sort of interrupted, and we could have a war. We can set our war color, and this will make it red, and we can set the day, but wars really last for 1 day, so what we can do is come in here and put the end date. And the one thing that I really want to do with this is I want to connect this one to a note. And you can see over here I've already made my big war topic. So if I come in here and type big war comes up, and I can associate this with a note. Alright, and the benefit of that is that I can click this, and I now get my big war note that comes up, and I can write about this is who won, for example, and I can do whatever I want. But what I have now is the capability to really easily keep track of the events that have occurred. And you know, you can also have obviously multiple things occurring on a day. Put the party in again, for example. We'll do it as a natural event, just so we get a different color. And now we can see red and green on the same day. So Look, it's pretty simple functionality, really, when you think about it. A calendar doesn't need to do much. It really just needs to display the days to you and let you keep track of what it is that you've done or doing on those days. So it certainly meets that requirement. I think it goes a step further by showing us moon cycles, and if Jeremy can get the weather working in here, well, I think that's going to be an absolute fantastic addition as well. It's really going to help us sort of streamline the running of our games. I certainly think there will be some Realmworks people will be quite excited about not having to use an external tool to track their calendars anymore. I almost guarantee some of you are already using the same website, and you can probably come along and just download your existing calendars and load it straight into this tool, and off you go. So happy days. So yeah, look, fantastic add-on. Thank you, Jeremy, once again. If anyone would like to say thanks to Jeremy, he does have an option inside of his fantasy calendar file here. If you go down to the bottom, you can see he has an option here to buy the guy a coffee. So if you'd like to say thank you to Jeremy for all of the work that he's doing, and you can see here that he does have support here for Obsidian Leaflet, which is pinnable maps, the dice roller, the 5th edition stat blocks, and the initiative tracker. And on top of that, fantasy calendars. Like, this guy's single-handedly making this an RPG tool, so he's certainly deserving of your coffee. So go and give the guy one, and hopefully he'll share him in support, and he'll make us more cool plugins. But anyway, if you do enjoy this content, please do like and subscribe. I have created a Patreon account, so huge thanks to my new patrons helping support me along the way. I really appreciate it. If you would like to keep track of my content, you can do it through YouTube, or you can come over to Patreon. Patreon does have the benefit that I'm able to release other things than videos. So, for example, we've just put up a template pack that everyone's welcome to download and have a bit of fun with. I'm not locking anything behind the paywall, so you can just come along and keep your eyes on that for new content that's coming out. So anyway, if you are enjoying, I hope to see you around the traps. Be sure to share your screenshots of what you're doing in the Facebook group. We're all loving what you're doing, and if you learn anything, please do share it as well, so we can all obviously come on the same learning journey together. And with that, guys, have a great night, and I will speak to you on the forums. Enjoy.